Hogs for a Cause is a faith-based nonprofit that uses the feral hog population in Texas to use it to feed folks, but also to minister the gospel of Jesus Christ. I used to work for an agency out of the Pentagon, and one of my jobs was to go in at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had to collect all the casualty statistics for Afghanistan and Iraq, and so I saw their names and their faces every day. Then when I finally got down here at Fort Hood, we had one of the largest wounded warrior battalions, and one of the soldiers that I had met, he told me, he says, "Dave, I don't think I matter anymore." Some opportunities opened up for us to go hunting pigs one night. And I went out and we saw over 100 pigs in one night, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Wild hogs here in Texas is an absolute epidemic. They are doing billions of dollars worth of damage here in Texas alone, and I thought this would be a great way to start to minister to people a little bit.
One of the ways that this did help me outside of, coming back to Christ was I have PTSD, and I have anxiety and depression. It never affected me when we were out in the field, ever. And my anxiety doesn't bother me. My depression doesn't bother me.
Every volunteer, when they first come, they receive $1 million from Dave with the scripture on the back and the promise that we'll talk about it. He actually brought me back to my faith that I've lost for probably the better side of 15 years now.
He's seen things that you and I would never even think of seeing or dreaming of, and so he knows what a lot of these guys have gone through, and so he can sense with them and he can relate to them. I know more of the man in the man's heart, and God, I wish we all had one like that. That's all I gotta say.
Well, meet the man on a mission to fight hogs, help vets, and save souls. Would you welcome Dave Haehn? Dave, great to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor.
Well, the reason you are Huck's hero is because you're doing several things all at one time. You're helping veterans.
Yes, sir.
You're getting rid of a nuisance that really is something that a lot of people don't understand how really just despicable they are and what damage they're doing. Tell us why it's important to get rid of some of these feral hogs that roam the landscape.
Well, in Texas alone, they estimate the herd to be between 6 million animals, 5 to 6 million animals. And the herd is growing exponentially. Every 3 to 5 years, it will double. And so they're doing billions of dollars worth of damage to the environment, to the crops, to the watersheds. And then they're also a threat to livestock as well and individuals. This one here, I don't know if anybody can see that.
Yeah, we'll get a close-up of it. This is a hog skull from one that you
Yeah, this is from one that we took out. It was actually threatening a rancher's grandchildren when they were coming out of the house at nighttime.
So you're doing the world a favor by getting rid of the hogs. But these hogs, I mean, there's some value in the meat.
There's a huge resource. We probably give away 50 to 60,000 pounds of meat a year. And we use it to feed families, even our military, but even local people in the community that are struggling. We fill up their freezers with that meat every year.
Dave, you get veterans out there to help you take care of these hogs. Why is that important to them? How does that really help them?
Well, I met a soldier one day, and he said, "Dave, I don't think my life matters anymore, and that I matter to people." And he had literally lost his face in Iraq in an explosion. And he had dozens of surgeries, and he says, "All I get to do is go to formations and show up to my doctor's appointments." And he says, "That's the rest of my military career. I don't think I matter anymore." And so I wanted these guys to know is that they matter.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that a lot of these guys are suffering from PTSD. And if you can get them doing something else and helping somebody else, like helping us to butcher the animals and then feeding other families, it takes the focus off of them and puts it onto something else. All of a sudden, they find self-worth.
Yeah.
And a lot of these things start to diminish in their lives.
And Dave, there's another very important element, and you talked about it when we did the interview on camera. That is, you want to help these people come to know Jesus Christ.
Amen.
So it's not just about killing hogs and even dealing with PTSD. It's about finding a personal peace inside.
Yes, I mean, that primarily everything that we do in this ministry, it's multifaceted, but it's primarily so we can ask one question. If you died today and you were standing in front of God and he said, "Why should I let you in?" What's your answer? And then we just listen. And that's how we get to open up doors and minister to them.
I don't know of anybody that doesn't thank you for loving the veterans, helping them, and most of all, for introducing them to an everlasting life. That's got to be the greatest thing you're doing. What's next? Do you need to build a processing plant? Is that something you hope Hogs for a Cause can do?
There's a couple of things that we want to do. Is one, we want to get my wife back into full-time ministry. What happened to me is I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer last year. So I'm no longer employable, and I used to work for the government, and so I've lost those opportunities. So anyhow, she had to go back to work, but we'd like that. But yes, we'd like to build a processing plant, because outreach, we could multiply that 4 or 5 times, because we could do USDA meat. They won't allow us to take this meat and give it to the orphanages or the food banks or churches or anything, because it's not USDA inspected. And then the other thing is we actually have a big heart for is to actually find a ranch, because we want to be able to bring our soldiers in there and our military veterans and bring those folks in there, because we can minister to them on a full-time basis, and now it's a kind of an iffy situation.
Maybe there's somebody out there watching tonight and
Amen.
God touches their heart and says, I can make that happen. So I hope it does. Dave, thank you, and you truly are a Huck's hero tonight. Thank you, and God bless you. You can get involved with Dave's outreach to our veterans. Visit hogsforacause.org. That's hogsforacause.org.